What a way to start my weekend, man. Oh my gosh. Manchester City 3, Sunderland 0, getting the job done, closing the gap against Arsenal, who have lost this morning to Aston Villa 2-1. A winning goal coming from Emi Buendia. More on that later. Aston Villa have officially entered the chat, but we'll get to that in a bit. City with the 3 points today, an absolute dominant display, an amazing display. That was one of the best performances that we have put on this season so far. It was a lot better. I was kind of expecting a tougher match. I don't want to say that it was necessarily a walk in the park or anything like that, but I was expecting City to have their hands full against this very strong and expansive Sunderland side, who have been outperforming this season overall in general and have been doing amazing this season. I think it's fair to say that nobody really expected Sunderland to be in the position that they're currently in right now, especially heading the position that they've been in heading into this match this morning. And all that. So yeah, I think fair play to Sunderland. I don't think that they necessarily played bad despite the score line, and I say that because of the fact that they weren't just sitting deep in a low block, having 10 players behind the ball or 9 players behind the ball. And then whenever they win the ball back in their defensive third, just huffing the ball forward, hoping for a sole striker to kind of get on the end of a loose clearance to be through on goal, and that wasn't the case. Whenever Sunderland got the ball back, they tried to be dynamic, they tried to play expansive, they tried to play with nice, intricate, flowing passing patterns and combinations and everything, and they tried to create from what they were given, and unfortunately it was just a very strong and focused City side today, so they weren't necessarily able to create all that much. They did nearly score an equalizer from a Ruben Diaz mistake early, kind of late in the first half. And Donnarumma had to come up huge with a big save to kind of keep the score at 1-0 to City and everything. But yeah, I don't think Sunderland necessarily played bad. I really don't. I know the scoreline says 3-0 and everything, and the scoreline could tell an absolutely different story, but I don't think that was the case. So I do applaud Sunderland for sticking to their guns and trying to actually play good football rather than just sitting deep and hoofing the ball up forward, hoping for something and everything. But yeah, City, much better than what we've seen, especially over the course of the last 7 days. The last 2 fixtures, Leeds United and Fulham, oh my gosh, just absolute horror shows. And I didn't make any match reaction videos to that because honestly I was just really pissed and exhausted and everything. So I just couldn't do it. I was just too distraught from everything and pretty shaken up. The Fulham match, I actually missed because I had a doctor's appointment that's been scheduled for like months. Like I'm talking like over 3 months that I completely forgot about until the day before, and I couldn't find a live stream on my phone to like watch the game while I was at the doctor's appointment or anything. So by the time I got home, the match was already in like the 89th minute or anything. So I couldn't watch it. I just went to go play pickleball instead. But anyway, yeah, look, City, we're heading into this match coming off 2 very, very nerve-wracking performances, and it's been a trend this entire season, especially over the course of just over a year since losing Rodri last season. It's been a trend that City just can't really seem to take full control of the match for an entire 90 minutes, that they struggle to play out from the back. We've seen that numerous times this season. We've also seen it for over a year now, where if a team decides to kind of like take their chances and take the game to City, that we look very shaky. And then this season in particularly, we can't seem to stay switched on for a full 90 minutes. We kind of like lose focus, the intensity drops, the level drops once we get to the second half, especially if we're holding on to some sort of lead, and everything. Like we just kind of like fall apart, and it kind of feels self-inflicted at times too, and it's extremely annoying, and stuff to watch, considering the type of football, the brand of football that I've been used to seeing City playing for 10 years now, and that's the type of football that I love. That's the type of football that I need my team to employ, and they showed that today, which was good. There were still moments where we did look shaky, especially from building out from the back. There were moments where Sunderland did try to commit some bodies forward. I wasn't expecting them to have an intense, a high line and press City, an absurd amount or anything like that. But they had moments where they would commit some bodies forward, and they made things pretty nervy for City to play out from the back and everything. And like I said, that's been a trend. That's been a trend, and I don't know where we've kind of like lost that art of playing out from the back. It definitely doesn't help that we brought in a goalkeeper who is an amazing shot stopper. Don't get me wrong, but a ball playing keeper isn't necessarily Donnarumma's game and everything. So that kind of the type of transition in the brand of football that I've seen City display this season, we're sacrificing a lot of the ball to try to be more direct in going forward, and I don't think that necessarily works. Not for a team that's supposed to be an elite level team. You don't see the likes of Bayern Munich. You don't see the likes of Liverpool even. This season you could take that away, whatever, from Liverpool, but you don't see the likes of Barcelona. You don't see the likes of Bayern Munich. You don't see the likes of Liverpool. You don't even see the likes Arsenal. You don't see the likes of Arsenal either playing in a direct manner the way that you would see like a mid-table team, because that's ultimately what it is. Not to be like disrespectful or anything like that, but yeah, elite teams play expansive, complex football. They don't play direct. They play expansive. They play unique passing patterns and everything, like they from side to side, center, whatever. It's not. So yeah, I don't necessarily like that approach this season that City have taken, and it was great to not see that today, and it's also great to see players coming into form and stepping up, especially because of the fact that Haaland he's been getting marked pretty well over the past month and a half. Although yes, he's been scoring a lot, so don't get me wrong, but like the fact that we were relying on him solely for goals for the first 2 months of the season, 2.5 months of the season, like that's just not sustainable at all. So we got the likes of Phil Foden stepping up. We got Ryan Cherky who is in amazing form right now, not necessarily scoring, but he is definitely helping with the creation. Jeremy Doku has upped his game completely and everything. What's his name? Reinders, is a player that could score a good amount of goals from midfield as well. Bernardo Silva, we know that he has that in his locker also. And everything. So now we just need the goals to start kind of like flying in, and we need to be able to break teams down in a much more intricate and unique way. The City way. So yeah, Phil Foden with another goal and assist today. Absolutely amazing. I look at him and it's just like, wow, man, what a player. Like, we are so lucky to have this man on our team, and there are talks of him wanting to sign a lifetime contract at City as well, which just warms my heart completely, because he wants to be like the Steven Gerrard of Manchester City and everything. So it's good. But yeah, look, there are loads of talk. There's been loads of talk of Phil Foden over the course of the past year, especially recently with, the English squad. And there's a lot of English creators that I have seen on social media saying that they don't even want Foden or that they don't think that Foden should be included in England's squad for the World Cup because, he doesn't fit into the side with Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. And that's just like, are you guys mental? You've lost the freaking plot, haven't you? How are you going to lead the player that won Premier League Player of the Year 2 seasons ago, and he's back to that form currently right now, and you're saying he doesn't fit into a World Cup squad for England? Yeah, you're off your rocker, bro. You need to get yourself checked, bruv. Like, what are you talking about? The form that he is in right now, Phil Foden is without a doubt a top 10 player in world football currently. Maybe even top 5. For me, top 5. But obviously, I'm biased because I'm a City fan. And I know how amazing he is because I see him week in and week out and everything. But for sure, at the very least, top 10 player in world football currently. You cannot debate against that. I dare you to debate against that and tell me that he doesn't fit into a World Cup squad. You're mental. But anyway, yeah, rant over. Sorry, I'm very passionate about Phil Foden. But anyway, besides Phil Foden, Ryan Cherky, like I mentioned earlier, has been in amazing form today. Deserved man of the match performance as well. Such a cheeky assist to Phil Foden's goal. Also with that little Rabona cross for Phil Foden's header. That was just so lovely. Watching Ryan Cherky makes me feel like a kid, just like watching the likes of Adel Taarabt. And no, I'm not saying Ryan Cherky is as skillful as Adel Taarabt or anything like that, but it's just like, wow, he's just so silky on the ball, man. He's got techers for days. And yes, there were times where it was kind of annoying because he could have sent Marmoush in on goal a couple times. He could have sent Phil Foden in on goal a couple other times as well and everything. But I like seeing that confidence. We need more players like Ryan Cherky, an absolute maverick and game changer that does whatever he pleases with the ball because he's that good and he's that confident. And then we also have that in the likes of Jeremy Doku as well and everything, who, like I said, has stepped his game up immensely and everything. But yeah, Ruben Diaz getting on the score sheet again not again this season, but getting on the score sheet for the first time in a while, actually, with an absolute sniper of a shot. Yes, it might have taken a deflection and everything, but I don't care. That was an absolute rocket of a shot. Very Vincent Kompany-esque against Leicester, and then also very John Stones-esque against Borussia Dortmund as well. Everything. So that was just amazing. It was like a nice little our center backs can score rockets from outside the box and whatever. But yeah, I think City still do have a lot of work that they need to look at. I still think that we struggle with playing out the back. That's something that's one of the main issues for me, playing out the back. And there were moments today against Sunderland that you could see that the City kind of struggled with that. And it's not as crisp and smooth and as down packed as we're used to seeing. So that's something that we still need to work on. We also still need to work on, even though it didn't happen today, we still definitely need to work on staying switched on for a full 90 minutes. Because if we're going to keep up with Arsenal, we have to. We have to, because it's their league to lose. So yeah, we need to be able to stay switched on for a full match, and that's something that we haven't really been seeing from City this season, and it's really worrisome. It's really annoying as well. We almost gave up a freaking 5-1 lead to Fulham at midweek, and Fulham nearly made it 5-5. That can't be happening. And then obviously last weekend giving up the 2-0 lead to Leeds, and nearly dropping the ball there, despite getting the 3 points at the end. But these are things that just can't happen. They just can't, especially if you want to win the league and everything. But yeah, Pep made some smart tactical substitutions as soon as City got their third goal. taking off Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, and Vardio, who are, three of the four players who have been playing, three of the five, I guess, players that have been playing the most out of anyone on the team so far this season, ahead of a very, very important match in the Champions League against Real Madrid this upcoming midweek. And that one, obviously, like I said, must win because we need to win that one. If not, we're just kind of looking at another playoff game for the knockout stage of the Champions League. And we saw how that went last season, so we definitely don't want a repeat of that or anything. So that game is a must. So it was good to take those three players off because they definitely need to be well rested for the match against Real Madrid and everything. But Aston Villa getting the job done against Arsenal today, thankfully. We needed that desperately. I think that the Aston Villa getting that win speaks of a huge credit to how competitive the league is. I think what Unai Emery has done at Aston Villa in a short amount of time is just phenomenal. It's kind of like changing the culture with, player management has been absolutely amazing. And they're just playing really good football. They are. And if I'm being completely honest, I thought Aston Villa were going to have a bit of a drop-off this season compared to last season because of the fact that they weren't able to keep Marcus Rashford and because of the fact that they weren't able to get a deal done with Marco Asensio, who nearly joined during the summer window, and then the plans fell through and he ultimately ended up joining Fenerbahce or something like that. I thought that Villa were going to have a somewhat of a drop-off. I don't think that they were going to be awful or anything like that. I just thought that they maybe might have fallen off like a position or two in, come the end of the league, come the end of the season. And everything. But yeah, no, they're not, they're sitting in third place, just a point behind City. And I said it last weekend, when Aston Villa were level on points with Chelsea, that Chelsea are considered title favorites to me. And I'm not considering Aston Villa title favorites because I think that their sole priority is just to get like a top 4/5 finish and, just to clinch a European competition spot and everything. But with the display that they had this morning, why not? Why can't we consider them title challengers? I think maybe because it's, we're not really expecting them to be in this position. We're also not expecting this run of form to be fully sustainable. But, you never know what can happen. You really never know. Arsenal, dropped the 3 points today to Villa. I think that shakes things up a lot because now Villa are also just 3 points behind Arsenal. And look, Arsenal are going to continue to drop points as the season progresses, and so will City. And obviously Villa will as well. It's just a matter of who can drop the least amount of points. And I think if Villa can definitely carry off of this high and keep riding this wave, why not? I personally would love to see it just because I love proving people that the Premier League is the best league in the world. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are Aston Villa considered title favorites now to you? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments. But that's going to be all from me today. Great display from City. Definitely a step in the right direction, but there's still things that we definitely need to work on and improve if we want to be serious title challengers next to Arsenal. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys on the next one. Thank you.